Hello. I almost forgot that I have to make another video before my next Decades of Action Challenge episode tomorrow. Had all this time off and didn't use any of it. If you've been keeping up with this series, I do sort of a summary video every 10 episodes, every 10 movies, every 10 years of the series that I'm doing, which is inspired by a series of essays on avclub.com called A History of Violence. The writer, Tom Breihan, picks what he considers the most important action movie of each year, starting with 1968 and going all the way, presumably, to this year, which he'll get around to in December, as will I, as I'm watching each of these movies. So the last decade that I covered was 88 through 97. This was some very, very prolific movie watching on my part, keeping up with all the biggest stuff, and the most violent, of course, and the most acclaimed, and some really bad movies and some really good ones as well. So Breihan's picks include Die Hard from '88. It was directed by John McTiernan and of course stars Bruce Willis and Alan Rickman. And my pick for favorite set piece from this movie is basically the end, where Bruce Willis tries to save all the hostages on the roof by getting them down below because he knows the roof is wired to blow, but then he gets shot at by the FBI helicopter and he can't go down by the staircase. He has to fling himself off the roof with a fire hose tied to his waist. It's a very, very memorable scene. From 1989, The Killer, directed by John Woo, starring Chow Yun-fat and Danny Lee. The assassin, basically, who is trying to earn money so that he can get the eyes of a singer he accidentally blinded fixed. The set piece, and there's a number of really great scenes in this movie. Probably one that really sort of establishes the iconography of John Woo is the climax with the takes place in a church, and there's lots of doves fluttering around everywhere as all the people shoot each other to pieces. But my favorite, personally, is the one in which the assassin is confronted by the cop who's hunting him down at a remote house. And then they're beset upon by a bunch of gangster henchmen all dressed in white, and they have to shoot their way out. It's the first time we see the hero cop and the noble hitman fighting side by side, which is a real thrill, and it's just one of the great set pieces in action movie history. So yeah, that one's a good contender right there. From 1990, Total Recall, directed by Paul Verhoeven and starring Arnold Schwarzenegger, Sharon Stone, Rachel Ticotin, Michael Ironside. The futuristic tale of a guy who decides to take a virtual vacation but then discovers that he is actually a secret agent and his memories are fake ones, and he needs to go to Mars to solve the problem and kill all the bad guys along the way. There's a lot of really fun fight scenes in this movie, shootouts, but I think probably the best one would be a scene early on in the movie which takes place in and around an escalator, in which Schwarzenegger is trying to get away from the bad guys, and a whole bunch of people get in the way of the bullets that are flying everywhere. That's a really fun and very, very over-the-top scene. From 1991, Terminator 2 Judgment Day, directed by James Cameron, starring Schwarzenegger again, Linda Hamilton, Robert Patrick, Eddie Furlong. The cyborg from the future has been reprogrammed, not to kill, but to protect the kid who will grow up to be the revolutionary that defeats the machines. He is being pursued by the liquid metal assassin, and my favorite set piece in this movie is the one where the Terminators first acquire the kid, and they go on a little chase through the streets of LA, the kid on a dirt bike, the bad liquid metal guy in a tow truck, and Arnold on the Harley. It's a short scene, but it's great. Love it. Just love it. From 1992, Hard Boiled, once again directed by John Woo. So this is about a cop who's trying to take down a gangster, an arms dealer. There's an undercover cop who is part of the triad, but is trying to figure out ways to take him down. There's a big raid before the halfway point in the movie in which several gangs converge and shoot at each other, and then Chow Yun-fat, the cop, he swings in literally and starts shooting at the place as well. There's lots of really, really big set pieces in the movie. I think that one is the one in particular that I like the best. So the one at the hospital basically is like the entire second half of the movie, so it's difficult to pick one particular segment as being the best. Of course, a lot of people are impressed by the single take shootout bit, you know, where the camera runs for like a minute or two, or you know, without any cuts, where guys are shooting at each other. I prefer the warehouse thingy just because I think action sequences work better with cutting rather than, you know, unbroken shots. The Fugitive from 1993, directed by Andrew Davis, starring, of course, Harrison Ford as Dr. Kimball, falsely convicted of his wife's murder, and Tommy Lee Jones as the marshal hunting him down. The big set piece in this movie is, of course, when Kimball escapes because his prison bus crashes down a hill, lands on some railroad tracks, and then a train comes along to plow it off the road, and they all have to like jump out really quick so that they don't get killed. They did it for real. They had a real bus get hit by a real train. Very impressive indeed. Very impressive scene. From 1994, Speed, directed by Jan de Bont, starring Keanu Reeves, Sandra Bullock, and Dennis Hopper. A mad bomber has rigged a bus to blow up if it slows below 50 miles an hour. He needs $3 million basically as a payoff for that. Keanu Reeves is the cop trying to save all the people on the bus, and it's a very, very complicated situation, and a little ridiculous, but it's a great deal of fun. I think the one scene that I really like in this movie is one where they try and make a really sharp turn, and the bus like turns on two wheels basically because the turn is so sharp. It's a pretty tense scene, but I think the highlight is really what I will simply call the big disembarking. If you haven't seen this movie for some reason, I don't want to spoil it for you. I'll just call it the big disembarking, and it takes place in the second half of the movie, and that's all you need to know about it. It's a really cool scene. Good music, too. Good music, the way the music kind of crescendos and everything like that at that moment. 1995, Breihan's pick was Bad Boys, directed by Michael Bay, starring Will Smith and Martin Lawrence, two Miami Vice cops that are looking for the guys that stole a whole supply of heroin evidence from their police lockup, trying to find these guys and take them down. My favorite set piece from this movie is the heist at the beginning, where the bad guys converge on the police lockup and use some tricks to get all the bricks of heroin out of there and make their escape. There's a number of scenes in this movie, like there's a big foot chase and there's a big shootout at the end, but that one I think is the best of the lot. From 1996, The Rock, also directed by Michael Bay, starring Nicolas Cage as a chemical weapons expert who is assigned by the FBI to go on a mission, basically to disable a bunch of VX poison gas rockets located on Alcatraz Island that is being held by a group of U.S. Marines that are holding the city of San Francisco for ransom. Sean Connery is also in the movie. He is a former British specialist, secret agent type James Bond person, if you will, but not James Bond, who escaped from Alcatraz, and so is helping them out with that mission. Ed Harris, of course, plays the general who is, you know, in charge of the whole bad guy plot, basically. Best set piece in this movie, not applicable, because I don't like any of the set pieces in this movie. It's a terrible movie. And finally, from 1997, John Woo, one more time, Face Off. John Travolta and Nicolas Cage are the stars of this movie. One is a federal agent, one is a terrorist. They switch identities halfway through, and faces, and bodies, and lives, and then muck around in each other's lives trying to catch and or kill each other while pretending to be the opposite guy. It's a crazy movie, lots of fun. Joan Allen, Alessandro Nivola, a lot of really good people in this movie. And there's lots of good set pieces as well. My favorite being the boat chase at the end, which has some incredible stunt work. Picking a favorite set piece from this lot is going to be tough. Now, as far as the best movie goes, well, first of all, worst movie of this lot, definitely The Rock, no question of that. Die Hard, The Killer, Total Recall, and these are like longtime favorites of mine. Speed I really enjoy. Face Off, T2, you know, these are all fun movies, but I think I've got to go pick either Die Hard, The Killer, or Total Recall, and that's a tough call to make. I think I'll probably skip Total Recall. So it's either The Killer or Die Hard. Which is the better movie? Die Hard's a classic, and The Killer is just groundbreaking in its style and brought this whole new aesthetic to action movies. In a good way, not like Michael Bay, which was sort of a new aesthetic in a bad way. Okay, Die Hard. I'm going to pick Die Hard just because it's a really, really solid movie, and maybe there are less cliched characters slightly. It's just slightly better than The Killer. But as far as best set piece goes, is it The Killer, the shootouts with the white guys in the all dressed in white? Is it Face Off with a boat chase? You know, I've got a long-time favorite here, actually. One that I've loved for ever since I first saw it, and that is from Terminator 2, The Chase, through that dried-up spillway in L.A. with the three guys and three different vehicles. It's just it's a short scene. It's like 5 minutes long, but it's just very, very well crafted, and just the music, everything about it is awesome. The Killer with all the guys in white converging on the house, that's a very, 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 very close second. It's a thrilling scene, but yeah, my longtime favorite is T2, so I got to go with that one. So yeah, that's the last 10 years, and that's 30 movies down, and only 20 to go. 20 more weeks, 20 more movies, 20 more videos to make in this series, not counting the summaries at the end of the decade. But yeah, going all the way till December with this, and right now I'm anticipating, of course, tomorrow's piece by Breihan on 300 from 2007. We'll find out what he picked for 2008 as his most important action movie of that year. Thank you for watching. Playlist, link to the playlist with all these videos below. Also link to the Facebook page. Excuse me, drooling. All this action makes me drool. Thank you for watching, and I will see you tomorrow, of course, with a video on Blade from 1998, which is the next movie in the series. Thanks for watching. Take it easy.